it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay. If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay. If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay. If they get disclosed, that is going to put.
This is now another Boron podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer, you are under the microscope. On today's podcast, we're going to follow up on what we talked and covered on the last podcast. Now, since then, we got in touch with, we emailed the chief of police and we CC'd the county supervisors. And we got a response from the chief of police about the evidence that's been the police department crushed and staged Mustafa's vehicle. And on the last podcast, we released body cam that's under seal. The county sealed those body cam. We got our hand on the file, on the body cam, on the document that show that the county, the officers, in Mustafa's case, crushed and staged Mustafa's vehicle. The dash camera that's in Mustafa's vehicle, officers cut and muted the dash camera that's in Mustafa's vehicle. Now, it's one thing if we're saying it, it's not our word against the police department. No. We got our hand on the body cams that are sealed. We've leaked them. We got our hand on the document. And we covered it on the last podcast, and we sent an email to Internal Affairs, specifically Chief of Police Peter Newsham, and we CC'd the county supervisors. Now, we're going to go over the email, what we told Chief of Police Peter Newsham, what Chief of Police Peter Newsham wrote and told us, and who's investigating what they've done in Mustafa's case. We're going to go over that email. Now, before we go into the email, I want to let Chief of Police Peter Newsham and the individual that he assigned to investigate these officers is Internal Affairs Captain Dudley. I want to let Chief of Police Peter Newsham and Captain Doodley know the reason that I'm releasing the email, the reason that we're publicly covering our communication with Internal Affairs is because we understand that Captain Doodley going forward is not going to have an easy job. I mean, you're going against officers that's been with the police department for over 19, 20 years. I mean, investigator Robert Drum, he's been with the department for just about 19 years. Investigator Mason, he's been with the department for 14 years. You're talking about officers that's been with the department for a long time. And you're not just talking about one police officer. I mean, take Robert Drum. His dad was a police officer. So you're talking about not only is he with the police department for 20 years, 19, 20 years. No, his dad has been with the police department. Imagine the job. I mean, I feel bad for Captain Doodley with Internal Affairs. And I thought about this really hard. And I said, how could I empower Captain Doodley so that when he goes up against those officers that falsified the Mustafa Aljazairi case, how could I empower this individual when he does his investigation? The only option that I have is that I have to go public. That this communication has to be public. That the community has to see what these officers did in the Mustafa Aljazairi case. So that Captain Doodley is not doing it by himself. No, he has the communities behind him that empowers him to investigate these officers. Because if you're talking about officers that does this in Mustafa Aljazairi case, they're doing it in other cases. And they're going to be doing it in other cases. I mean, we're talking about a community that we want to call and say that we're living in a safe community. That when you call an officer, that when an officer responds to a scene, the next time you call 911, you're not going to get an officer that's going to falsify your statements. An officer that's going to crush and stage your vehicle. An officer that's going to take your dash camera that's in your vehicle, cut it, and remove the audio. An officer that's going to take the children that Mustafa is a father figure in their life and weaponize them against Mustafa. I think we can all be on the same page and say we don't need these officers in our community because these officers make our community unsafe. Now, I want to remind everybody that's tuning in that when we talk about these individuals, these officers, this is not a reflection of every officer in Prince William County. The majority of police officers, they're from this community and they serve this community. And I refuse to believe that Captain Doodley, I mean, he's been with the department for a long time. I refuse to believe that Captain Doodley is okay with what these officers are doing. Captain Doodley was in court when Brad Haywood was Mustafa's lawyer. Back in, I believe, I'm going to double check the transcript. It was back in September of last year when Brad Haywood filed a Brady motion. And Brad Haywood, Mustafa's defense, told the presiding judge, right in front of Captain Doodley with Internal Affairs, that investigator Robert Drum falsified Mustafa's statements. Now, this is all over the news. If you look up Mustafa's name, you're going to see that NBC4 covered the letter that we've gotten from Internal Affairs 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago. The Internal Affairs investigator Robert Drum, the main investigator, and sent us a letter. They sent us a letter that he violated department policy. Now, we have an audio. When you read the police report and you listen to the audio, clearly, Robert Drum, this investigator, falsified Mustafa's statements. Mustafa never said he was arguing inside the vehicle. This investigator falsified those statements on the police report and arrested Mustafa, creating probable cause. The dash camera showed that Mustafa was not arguing inside the vehicle. The audio of the phone call conversation between Mustafa and this investigator, Mustafa never said that. This officer falsified Mustafa's statements. And Internal Affairs investigated, and they sent us a letter since that this officer has been investigated and he violated department policy. So, about a week ago, we sent Internal Affairs evidence that show officers in the Mustafa Aljazairi case crushed and staged Mustafa's vehicle. Officers in Mustafa's case cut and muted Mustafa's dash camera. We're going to go over this email. And what we want to focus on in this podcast, we're going to have multiple podcasts, and we're going to dissect what they've done, what these officers have done in Mustafa's case. But in this specific podcast, we're going to do two things. We're going to read the email, our communication with Chief of Police Peter Newsham with Prince William County Police Department here in Virginia. We're going to go over the response from Chief of Police Peter Newsham and the letter we received that they will be investigating these issues. Now, the second thing that we want to cover is Lieutenant Sean Peake. Who is Lieutenant Sean Peake, and what is Lieutenant Sean Peake's role in the Mustafa Aljazairi case? What did Lieutenant Sean Peake do to Mustafa's vehicle? And what is his role in the dash camera that's in Mustafa's vehicle? Lieutenant Sean Peake is a supervisor. He supervised investigator Robert Drum. He supervised Officer Chad Mason, the officer that handled Mustafa's dash camera. He supervised investigator Robert Drum and investigator Davis. Investigator Davis chopped up Mustafa's vehicle. Mustafa's vehicle was crushed, staged by the police. Who supervised it? Lieutenant Sean Peake. Who blocked the independent expert from inspecting Mustafa's vehicle? Who supervised the independent experts blocking the independent expert from inspecting Mustafa's vehicle? Lieutenant Sean Peake. We have the body cam. We're going to go over the body cam. We're going to read the transcript from the motion to dismiss. And we're going to ask the question: did Lieutenant Sean Peake lie about investigator Chad Mason breaking the chain of custody when he handled Mustafa's dash camera? We're going to read what Sean Peake testified to in courts, and we're going to ask that question. Did Lieutenant Sean Peake lie to cover up what Chad Mason did when Chad Mason handled Mustafa's dash camera? Mustafa's dash camera was handled by Officer Chad Mason without a warrant. And today we have a dash camera that has no audio and is cut before impact. Lieutenant Sean Peake supervised Mustafa's vehicle being crushed and staged. Lieutenant Sean Peake supervised when the independent expert was blocked from inspecting Mustafa's vehicle, therefore breaking a judge order. There was a judge order to inspect Mustafa's vehicle by an independent expert. So we're going to go over the email. We're going to go over and get to know Lieutenant Sean Peake. And what we're going to do, we're going to have multiple podcasts. We're going to get to know Lieutenant Sean Peake and what he did in the Mustafa Aljazairi case. We're going to get to know Chad Mason. We're going to get to know investigator Robert Drum. We're going to read their police reports. And we're going to read what they said and testified to in court. And we're going to have multiple podcasts. So that way we're not just, that information that we're going to be releasing is organized. We're going to attempt to organize it.
Me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
Morning, Chief.
Morning. Just grabbing a little H2O before the next briefing. You know, a lot of good conversations start right here at this cooler. Keeps the department running and hydrated. Now,
Chief, we have a problem.
what's going on?
The Mustafa brothers. One of them got into evidence storage, took the Redfield file.
You're sure?
Caught him on the cameras 10 minutes ago.
Damn it.
Detective Forrester's been trying to track him since.
He knew exactly what he wanted. Folder was...
That's Chief of Police Peter Newsham. That's who we're going to read the email that we're communicating. I stole the file, so I find it beautiful, interesting, a little bit weird, to be honest with you, that I've reached into their evidence that's sealed, and now I'm communicating with them as of I didn't get into a secure server and this material is sealed. I find the whole situation upside down, if that makes any kind of sense. But this is the Chief of Police. We're here. We're having this conversation. This is the Chief of Police, Peter Newsham.
Now,
Chief,
And who they're talking about is me.
we have a problem.
what's going on?
The Mustafa brothers. One of them got into evidence storage.
I am Mustafa's brother. Got into their server, took the files. So now it's no longer my word against their word. No. I've got their body cams.
Took the Redfield file.
You're sure?
Caught him on the cameras 10 minutes ago.
Damn it.
Detective Forrester's been trying to track him since.
He knew exactly what he wanted. Folder was gone when I came back from the lab.
Yep, that's true. I knew exactly what I wanted.
Lock down the exits.
We've lost another body cam node. Pull up the feed.
Found him. It's Mustafa, brother. He has the cams.
Lock down the servers. Now!
He's already inside.
Turn. This is for you, Agent Doyle. Full clip. Don't let them bury it.
Garcia, it's Reed. I need a location on Mustafa, brother. Now.
Brought him on a ride-share trace, heading south on East Street, plate ending 068.
Sending coordinates now.
Copy that. Keep the feet up.
I'm moving. Garcia, it's Reed. I need a location on Mustafa, brother. Now.
The broadcast talk to him.
Rideshare just dropped him downtown. He's heading for a studio called FM Wave. Copy that. Put eyes on the block and lock it down. Whatever you do, don't let him air that file on his podcast. Units are en route.
Whatever you do, don't let him air that file on his podcast. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cams. Judge Carol Weimer, you are under the microscope. And going forward, we're going to put Captain Doodley with Internal Affairs under this microscope. And we're going to be communicating with Captain Doodley through this podcast. We're going to be supplying Captain Doodley with body cams and document that's going to help him investigate what these officers have done in the Mustafa Aljazairi case. And our goal is to empower Captain Doodley so that way when he goes up against these officers, the community is there behind him. So he's not doing it by himself, because it's not easy to go up against these officers that's been with the department for as long as they've been with the department. All right, so the first thing we want to do is go over the email. So if you go over to, we've released this email over our TikTok channel. If you go to Beyond the Metal Bars, so if you type, let me zoom in. If you type Beyond the Metal Bars on TikTok, you're going to see an email that we released today. This is our communication with Chief of Police Peter Newsham, and what we've titled is Formal Complaint, Mishandling and Destruction of Critical Evidence in the Mustafa Aljazairi case. Now, Chief of Police Peter Newsham, Captain Doodley with Internal Affairs, I hope you're aware that the community is watching what we're talking about. And over our Facebook, if you go to our Facebook, what we've talked about is summarized in a short video, and that video have reached over 71,000 views, and they're watching what you're gonna do in the Mustafa Aljazairi case to these officers that clearly crushed and staged Mustafa's vehicle, clearly cut and muted Mustafa's dash camera, and were entrusting that you, Chief of Police Peter Newsham, Captain Doodley with Internal Affairs, is not okay with officers that play around with evidence. Let's go over to the video that I'm talking about. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see if you go over to Reels on Facebook. So our Facebook is Not Another Boring Podcast. Okay, so if you type that on Facebook, you're going to go over to a video, and this is a very interesting video because all you're going to see is an arm. It's like the holy arm that reached into the vault of the police department and took that file that's been sealed. And now the community gets to see. And 72,000 people have saw this video from this community. This community is watching you, Chief of Police Peter Newsham, is watching you, Captain Doodley with Internal Affairs, and they're waiting on you holding those officers accountable. Let's see what this video talks about. The police department crushed this vehicle. Look at what they've done to the vehicle. The prosecutor is going to argue that, Your Honor, we want to protect the integrity of the vehicle, protect the integrity of the chain of custody, protect the integrity of the evidence. Look at what they've done to the evidence. You have a dash camera where the investigator is admitting, Chad Mason is admitting to breaking the chain of custody on the dash camera. Imagine, he takes possession of the dash camera, and then he tells you, I've had the file, I downloaded the file for 2 days before I got a warrant for this dash. That's breaking the chain of custody. So when the prosecutor argued that we want to protect the integrity of, we want to make sure that the chain of custody is not broken, your officer already broke the chain of custody. And he admitted to it in the motion to dismiss. Your officers crushed and staged Mustafa's vehicle. So what are you protecting in this case? The police department, this is what they've done to the vehicle inside the police department. That's what the vehicle looked like after the accident. And you can clearly see that everybody has already been extracted, have been extracted out of the vehicle, Mustafa and his family. So you can't say this is due to extracting Mustafa and his family. No, the vehicle is intact. You can't say it's because you were getting the computer inside the vehicle. The computer sits right there. That's where the computer sits, right there under the shifter. And so the vehicle is not caved in. So you can't tell me you chopped up the vehicle and the vehicle went from this to that. Clearly, the vehicle has been crushed and staged by your officers. And we're asking Chief of Police Peter Newsham to look into it. And we're going to read his email. He put Captain Doodley with Internal Affairs on it. All right, so let's read the email. So, formal complaint, mishandling and destruction of critical evidence in Mustafa Aljazairi case. This email was sent March 24. All right, so it was emailed to Chief of Police Peter Newsham and other county supervisors. All right, dear Chief of Police, Chief Newsham, and members of the board supervisors, I'm writing to formally bring to your attention serious misconduct in the mishandling and destruction of critical evidence in the Mustafa in the case of Mustafa Aljazairi in Prince William County, Virginia. The treatment of Mr. Aljazairi vehicle demonstrate clear violation of evidence preservation standards, raises substantial concerns about the investigation integrity, and calls into question the accountability of the agencies involved. Documented evidence shows that Mr. Aljazairi vehicle was intact at the scene of the incident, yet was later deliberately dismantled, altered, and crushed while in police custody. This includes the rolling of the dashboard, removal of structural components, and cutting of the roof. Actions that go far beyond any reasonable or necessary evidence collection procedure. The vehicle in this case is not peripheral. It is the central piece of evidence. The prosecution has asserted that the vehicle itself was used as a weapon. By that standard, the obligation to preserve it in its original condition is absolute. Instead, the vehicle was destroyed. This conduct directly contradicts established procedure regarding event data recorder, EDR, ACM, retrieval. In prior sworn testimony, in the Martinez case, investigator Robert Drum clearly established this conduct established that EDR remains permanently stored unless the unit itself is destroyed. The proper method of retrieval is through non-destructive downloading using specialized equipment. The ACM EDR is not to be removed from the vehicle for routine data extraction. Despite this, in Mr. Aljazairi's case, the ACM EDR was removed, and the destruction of the vehicle was carried out under the pretext of accessing the data. That justification is inconsistent with established protocol and prior sworn testimony. Further, the evidence in this case establishes that this incident was a vehicle accident, not an intentional act. The record shows Mr. Aljazairi's foot was on the brake throughout the event. The vehicle exhibited brake failure. Witness statements and investigative material confirmed that Mr. Aljazairi actively avoided other vehicles. Steering data reflect movement away from impact, not toward it. These facts demonstrate that Mr. Aljazairi was attempting to prevent the collision, not cause it. The destruction of the vehicle has eliminated the ability for independent forensic examination and has compromised the integrity of the evidence in this case. This is not procedural oversight. It is a fundamental failure that undermines transparency, due process, and the right to a fair trial. In addition, law enforcement has admitted a break in the chain of custody related to dash camera footage. Audio that should have been recorded is now missing, despite claim that an argument took place during the incident. This further compromises the integrity of the evidence and raises serious concern about the investigative accountability. In light of these facts, I respectfully request that your office take the following actions. In light of these facts, I respectfully request that your office take the following actions. Initiate an independent investigation into the destruction of Mr. Aljazairi's vehicle. Determine and hold accountable those responsible for violating evidence preservation protocol. Item 3 requires a full public explanation for the decision to dismantle and crush the vehicle. Item 4, investigate and address the broken chain of custody into the missing dash camera and the audio. I find it interesting I find it really interesting that the letter that we received, and we're going to go over the letter that we received from Chief of Police Peter Newsham, addresses the vehicle being crushed and staged by the officers, but it doesn't talk about the dash camera. We have evidence that Chad Mason broke the chain of custody and violated department policy when he handled Mustafa's dash camera. And today you have a dash camera that has no audio and is cut before impact. So item 4, investigate and address the broken chain of custody and missing dash camera audio. Item 5, assess the impact of these failure on the integrity of the case and the defendant's constitutional rights. Item 6, implement strict oversight measures and policy reform to prevent the destruction of mishandling of critical evidence in future cases. The destruction of central evidence in a case of this magnitude is a serious breach of public trust. The integrity of the justice system depends on the preservation of evidence, adherence to protocol, and accountability when those standards are violated. This matter requires immediate and decisive attention. I also document key details of this case in a publicly available recording, which can be accessed here. So this is basically, if you click on this link, it takes a police department and internal affairs, Captain Doodley, to the podcast where we put materials on it that we show what these officers did in Mustafa's case. Thank you for your time and consideration. I respectfully urge your office to act to ensure accountability and uphold the principle of justice within the Commonwealth. Sincerely, Amar Aljazairi. All right. So that's the email. The response that we got from Captain Doodley, from Chief of Police Peter Newsham, is, let's see. All right. Amar Aljazairi. All right. One thing that I want to tell Chief of Police Peter Newsham and any agency that we contact going forward, I'm finding out that individuals within this county are contacting agencies on our behalf, pretending to be Mustafa's family. And what I want to tell Chief of Police Peter Newsham and Internal Affairs Captain Doodley is, if you're not getting an email from nabpodfiles@gmail.com, this email, that's not us. And we'll talk about that more so that you know the only line of communication is this email. All right. This is the email. nabpodfiles@gmail.com. All right. So this is the letter that we got from Chief of Police Peter Newsham. It has the date, March 27, 2026. First and last name, my first and last name, Mustafa's brother. Our email. It reads, Dear Mr. Aljazairi, this is to acknowledge receipt of your complaint regarding the conduct of Master Police Officer Davis, Drum, and Wilhelm. Your concern will be investigated and you will be informed of the results. In that meantime, if you have any question or comments, please contact Captain Brandon Doodley of the Office of Professional Standards. Sincerely, Chief of Police Peter Newsham. CC'd Office of Professional Standard, Internal Affairs. Now, one of the issues that we have with this email is that Peter Newsham, Captain Doodley with Internal Affairs, why is Investigator Chad Mason not mentioned here? Investigator Chad Mason, we have evidence that he broke the chain of custody. The most crucial piece of evidence in the Mustafa Aljazairi case is the dash camera. I mean, we're talking about a crash. The county says that this is intentional. Evidence that is coming out of this case showed that Mustafa did everything he can to avoid this crash. Therefore, it's a car accident. There's a dash camera inside the vehicle. That's the most crucial piece of evidence. Now, what do you say to an officer that takes this dash camera from Mustafa's vehicle without a warrant? And today, you have no audio and it's cut before impact. Documents from Digital Forensic, Cassie Zymans, who finally received this dash camera, says there is audio. The only person on the scene that handled this dash camera without a warrant, when he violated department policy because he was supposed to package this dash camera and take it to Digital Forensic, he didn't do that. He took it back to his car without a warrant. That's breaking the chain of custody. Took the SD card, plugged it into the computer. That's breaking the chain of custody. You can no longer rely on this dash camera. Today we have this dash camera without audio and it's cut before impact. The chain of custody has been broken by Officer Chad Mason. And we're telling you that we have evidence. This is what this officer did. In court, he admitted to breaking the chain of custody. On the record, in the motion to dismiss, we have the transcript. We're going to go over the transcript. Now, we asked Chief of Police Peter Newsham, we asked Captain Doodley to address this issue. We're putting on the record. We're asking you, it's internal affairs, to investigate. I understand you're investigating Investigator Robert Drum. You're investigating Investigator Davis. You're investigating Officer Wilhelm. But there's two parts to our complaint: the vehicle and the dash camera. Now, another officer that you left out of this investigation is Officer Lieutenant Sean Peake. What did Lieutenant Sean Peake do in the Mustafa Aljazairi case? What is the role of Officer Sean Peake? I mean, did Sean Peake lie in court in a motion to dismiss? Did he lie on the record? Did he not lie? Did he not say? What did Sean Peake testify to? Why did Sean Peake not tell us that Investigator Robert Drum took the dash camera back to his vehicle without a warrant? Lieutenant Sean Peake tell the court in a motion to dismiss that he supervised the vehicle being cut up. That when they chopped up the roof, let's go over to some pictures, that on the 7th, this is Mustafa's vehicle at the police department. This is at the scene. This is the vehicle at the scene. Clearly, the vehicle is intact. Mustafa's family is out of the vehicle. Mustafa and his family, they're not in the vehicle, so you can't say this is because of rescue effort. This is after the accident at the scene. This is the vehicle at the scene. This is inside the police department. Clearly, the roof is there. This is the vehicle inside the police department. Explain to me. This is Investigator Davis inside Mustafa's vehicle, so you clearly have access to get the ACM, which sits right there under the shifter. One of the body cams, Investigator Davis tell you that we crushed and chopped up the vehicle because we wanted the ACM. Clearly, you have access to the ACM. This is the police department used the fire department to remove the roof. Look at what they're doing here. They're removing the roof. They cut it here. They're chopping up at the vehicle. They remove the roof. Why? Why have you chopped up the vehicle? To get the computer? According to the Martinez case, Robert Drum says you're not even supposed to take the computer out. You're supposed to plug in a wire, a computer, and download the data. You're not allowed to remove the computer. That's the pretext why you're saying you cut up the vehicle. One, you have access to it. And two, you're not supposed to remove the computer. But here you are chopping up at the vehicle. Now, the individual that supervised this is Sean Peake. And he says, when we removed the roof, we saw a dash camera. We're going to read his testimony in court in a motion to dismiss. He said, I saw a dash camera. We didn't have a warrant for the dash camera. So what I did, I took possession of the dash camera. I put it in my car. And Chad Mason went and secured a warrant. He says, then I took the dash camera. Once we secured a warrant for it, I gave it to Investigator Davis. And Investigator Davis took this dash camera back to the police department and gave it to Investigator Chad Mason. Lieutenant Sean Peake tells you, this dash camera never left my vehicle. Well, Investigator Chad Mason, when he was getting cross-examined, actually says a different story. He says that he took the dash camera. Chad Mason took the dash camera back to his vehicle. That he took the SD card, plugged it into computer, and then took the SD card, put it back in the dash camera, took the dash camera, and then gave it to Lieutenant Sean Peake. Why isn't Sean Peake telling us that Chad Mason is handling this dash camera without a warrant before even getting that warrant? And then Chad Mason went and got the warrant. Why isn't Lieutenant Sean Peake telling us the whole story? Why isn't he telling us that Chad Mason broke the chain of custody? Today you have a dash camera that has no audio and is cut before impact. Now here's a question for Captain Doodley with Internal Affairs. Where is the body cam from this officer? Clearly, he's wearing a body cam. Why is this officer is wearing a body cam? Where is that body cam, and why is that body cam not in Mustafa's file? Why has that body cam been removed from Mustafa's file? What is the police department hiding? Where is the body cam from Officer Sean Peake? Where is the body cam from Officer Drum? Where is the body cam from Investigator Davis? Where is the body cam from Investigator Chad Mason? These body cams are missing. Let me ask you a better question. Robert Drum captures Investigator Chad Mason on his body cam at the scene of the accident. Chad Mason is inside Mustafa's vehicle. What is Chad Mason doing inside Mustafa's vehicle? Where is Investigator Chad Mason's body cam, and why is it not in Mustafa's file? When he's inside Mustafa's vehicle, that's going to show us what Chad Mason did to Mustafa's vehicle. Because moments later, Chad Mason is seen captured on Robert Drum's body cam, where he says the wire is cut. The dash camera, the wire is cut. Did Chad Mason cut the wire on the scene? Did Chad Mason take the dash camera, download the files into his computer without a warrant on the scene? The accident happened on the 5th. Chad Mason wants to tell you that I took the dash camera without a warrant on the 7th. Well, where is the body cams? Chad Mason's body cam is missing on the scene. Chad Mason's body cam is missing on the 7th. And all these officers, their body cam is not in Mustafa's file. Let's read Lieutenant Sean Peake and what Lieutenant Sean Peake is testifying to in court. And the question that you want to focus on, did Sean Peake lie about Chad Mason breaking the chain of custody? There we go. So if you go over to the transcript from October 31st, 2024, page 94, you're going to see Lieutenant Sean Peake. The question is, did Lieutenant Sean Peake testify the dash camera never left Mustafa's vehicle before a warrant? All right, so let's see what Lieutenant Sean Peake is telling us. All right, Sarah Sammy. All right, so she's going to cross. So the prosecutor, Sarah Sammy, is going to cross-examine Lieutenant Sean Peake. Can you please state and spell your name? Lieutenant Sean Peake. Lieutenant Peake, were you employed currently special operation with the Prince William County Police Department? All right, so Sarah Sammy asked Lieutenant Sean Peake, I want to direct your attention back to April 5th, 2023. Were you on specialized unit? Were you on specialized unit at that point? Sean Peake says, I am in charge of the crash investigator unit and the traffic unit. Sean Peake supervised these officers in the Mustafa Aljazairi case. Sarah Sammy asked, and were you in charge at that time as well? Sean Peake says, yes. Now, did you become involved in an investigation involving a crash occurring on Dumfries Road and Fortuna Plaza? Not immediately, Sean Peake says. Not immediately involved in the crash the next day, but eventually in that investigation, yes. The prosecutor says, now, in conjunction with this investigation, did you have occasions to go to Prince William County Police Department impound lot? Sean Peake says, yes. What was your role there? So the prosecutor asked Lieutenant Sean Peake, what is your role in the Mustafa Aljazairi case when he went to the impound lot? Sean Peake says, basically in support of the officers that were working that investigation. After that was complete, I was referred to follow up that afternoon. Did there come a time that you saw the dash camera in question? Item 22. At the impound lot, yes. At the impound lot. All right. Sarah, the prosecutor asked, did there come a time that you saw the dash cam in question, item 22, at the impound lot? Lieutenant Sean Peake says, yes. Can you tell the court when you initially saw it? All right. Lieutenant Sean Peake says it was around, I would say, probably 4 p.m. that day on April 6th. Basically, I was there in support of Investigator Mason and Davis, and basically just an oversight. All right. The accident happened on April 5th. They're at the impound lot. Sean Peak, 4 p.m., April 6th. Okay? And he supervised Mason and Davis. Now, the prosecutor asked, now, did there come a time that Investigator Mason gave you or put that dash camera in your custody? Yes. Lieutenant Sean Peak says yes. What was the purpose of that? They had removed, as Investigator Mason stated, they had to remove the roof and the car was exposed. When they found the dash cam, they consulted with the Commonwealth Attorney to get the additional search warrant. The element that afternoon was about to rain, so the roof had been cut off. They placed it in my passenger compartment, and that passenger front seat. Was that to protect it from imminent rain? Correct. Okay. Now, did there come a time later where you provided the dash camera to Investigator Davis? He responded back to the scene with a second search warrant and recovered it from my passenger compartment. At any point when the dash camera was in your custody, care, or control, did you manipulate, alter, delete anything on it? Sean Peak says, no, ma'am. Pay attention to Sean Peak tell you that Chad Mason gave him the dash camera because they didn't have a warrant for it. That they were cutting up the vehicle and they saw a dash camera. They're like, oh, we don't have a warrant for this dash camera. So Sean Peak, Mason says, Sean Peak, Lieutenant Sean Peak, here's the dash camera. Let me not handle this dash camera. Let me give you this dash camera until I secure a warrant. Wait a minute. That's what Sean Peak is telling us. But in court, Chad Mason tells you he went back to his vehicle, took the SD cards, plugged it into his computer, and then gave it to Lieutenant. Why isn't Sean Peak telling us that? Why isn't Sean Peak telling? That's breaking the chain of custody. When you're talking about taking this dash camera back to your vehicle, taking the SD card, plugging it into, we don't know what you did to this dash camera. Without a warrant. You broke the chain of custody on that dash camera. And we're going to go over Chad Mason's testimony and when he said that. Lieutenant Sean Peak, on the record, is lying to us. Is lying to the court, is lying to the judge, is covering up for investigator Chad Mason and what Chad Mason did in Mustafa's case. Today you have a dash camera that has no audio and it's cut before impact. At any point when the dash camera was in your custody or control, did you manipulate, alter, delete anything on it? No, ma'am. Did you toss it? Did you drop it? Lieutenant Sean Peak says, no, it was placed basically on the floor in the passenger front floorboard on my vehicle. Did anyone else alter or manipulate it in your presence? Not to my knowledge, no. Oh, how convenient. You're not telling us that Chad Mason took it back to his vehicle. Sarah Sammy, no further question. Cross, Mustafa's defense attorney at the time doesn't even cross-examine Lieutenant Sean Peak. Now, I find it really interesting. If I can find out that Lieutenant Sean Peak lied and covered up for Officer Chad Mason breaking the chain of custody on the dash camera, why are you not asking this lieutenant and calling him out in court? Clearly, he's lying on the record. If I can find that out, you would definitely know. And that goes to, was that lawyer compromised at the time? I mean, you're talking about a case where they crushed and staged the vehicle, they falsified Mustafa's statement, they cut and muted this dash camera, weaponized the children, all this misconduct. Multiple officers are doing this in this case. Is that lawyer at the time compromised? Why not ask him and call him out for lying on the record, covering up for Chad Mason? Now, there is an affidavit from Investigator Davis where Investigator Davis tell you that Lieutenant Sean Peak lied. Let's see if I can find the affidavit for Investigator Davis. Let's see. There we go. That's it. All right. So Investigator Davis, this is the affidavit where motion hearing stipulation, the parties stipulate that if Investigator R.J. Davis were to testify at October 31st, 2024 hearing date, his testimony would consist of the following. On April 5th, 2023, this is what you want to watch out for. This is what you want to focus on. When you listen to Investigator Davis, is Investigator Davis contradict what Lieutenant Sean Peak is telling us? Because here you're going to see that Investigator Davis is telling you that Chad Mason, actually took it back to his vehicle, took the dash camera back to his vehicle without a warrant. That Lieutenant Sean Peak is lying on the record. I mean, Lieutenant Sean Peak, according to Lieutenant Sean Peak, Chad Mason never broke the chain of custody, never took the vehicle back, never took the dash camera back to his vehicle. Let's read Investigator Davis and what he's telling us in an affidavit. On April 5th, 2023, Investigator R.J. Davis was assigned to the crash investigation unit of the Prince William County Police Department. On April 6th, Investigator R.J. Davis and Investigator Chad Mason were present at the Prince William County impound lot when the Rexon dash camera item 022 was retrieved from the defendant Chrysler 300 by Investigator Mason. Investigator Mason took possession of the dash camera, removed the SD card from the dash camera into his CAD to check if any available data in Investigator Davis' general presence. Without a warrant. By the way, they haven't secured a warrant. But he's taken this dash camera, removing the SD card. Investigator Mason then reinserted the SD card into the dash camera and transferred it to Lieutenant Sean Peak. After Investigator Davis obtained a second search warrant for the dash camera, because the first warrant was for the vehicle. They didn't have a search warrant for the dash camera. That's why they got a second warrant. They never had a warrant for the dash camera. After Investigator Davis obtained a second search warrant for the dash camera, Lieutenant Sean Peak provided the dash camera item 022 to Investigator Davis. Investigator Davis transported the dash camera item 22 to Central District Station and handed it over to Investigator Mason. Investigator Davis would testify that the dash camera was not changed, altered, or manipulated in any vehicle in any way while in his presence and was properly secured at all time, except when Investigator Mason briefly inserted the SD card into his CAD to check for data. You're going to read Chad Mason in court in a motion to dismiss tell you that he took the dash camera back to his vehicle, removed the SD card, plugged it into his computer without a warrant. Chad Mason is going to testify to that. Here you have Lieutenant Sean Peake tell you one thing, Investigator Davis tell you another thing, and then Chad Mason, when he's getting cross-examined, actually admit to breaking the chain of custody. My question is this. These are the pictures in Mustafa's file when they were chopping up the vehicle. The question is, where is the body cam when all this was going on? I mean, Sean Peake tells you one thing, Davis tells you another thing, and then Chad Mason actually confessed to it. That, yep, I took it back to my car, violated department policy, and broke the chain of custody, took it back without a warrant. Well, where's the body cams? I mean, this is Investigator Davis. Investigator Davis is wearing a body cam. This officer is wearing a body cam. Where is his body cam? And why is it not in Mustafa's file? Why has that body cam been removed? Is that not exculpatory evidence? I mean, you want to get to the bottom of it, but it seems like someone is removing key body cams out of Mustafa's file and putting it in a separate file. I mean, it seems like there's two separate files for Mustafa. A file for the defense to see and a file for no one to look at. Missing body cams. I mean, we want to get to the bottom of who did what in Mustafa's case. Where is the body cam on the scene? I mean, when Officer Chad Mason is captured, if you go to Exhibit 14, let's go over to Exhibit 14. This is body cam. This is Robert Drum's body cam on the scene. And for Captain Doodley with Internal Affair, this body cam is numbered X60878296. So in your file, that's what you're going to find it under. In my file, it's going to be under Exhibit 14. If you go on our YouTube channel, I've released the body cams that we've took from Mustafa's file. These are sealed files on the police department server, evidence.com, and we've numbered them as exhibit. This body cam is going to be Exhibit 14. Now, you're going to see in this body cam that Robert Drum captures investigator Chad Mason inside Mustafa's vehicle. But I find it interesting that Robert Drum's body cam is on mute. He muted his body cam. And Chad Mason is given a weird signal to Robert Drum to... It's like, dude, fuck off. Like, why are you here? I'm clearly doing something to Mustafa's vehicle. Specifically to Mustafa's dash camera. I mean, he's inside Mustafa's vehicle. And then later, all of a sudden, he's talking about the wire is cut. The question is, did Chad Mason cut the wire only to say that there is no audio and it's cut before impact? Let's look at this body cam so that we're on the same page. And the question is, when you see Chad Mason captured on this body cam, clearly he's wearing a body cam. Our question for Mustafa's lawyer, where the fuck is this body cam? I mean, you said that you sat down with Commonwealth Amy Ashworth. Why didn't you fucking ask her where is the body cam for Chad Mason on the scene? Or when they were chopping up Mustafa's vehicle? Clearly, there's missing body cams. Let's watch this body cam. You're going to see investigator Robert Drum. He's walking up on Mustafa's vehicle, and there, right in the right corner, you're going to see he's going to look right, and you're going to see investigator Robert Drum. You're going to see investigator Chad Mason right there. Right there is Mustafa's vehicle, and investigator Chad Mason is going to be, you're going to see him inside Mustafa's vehicle doing something. And it's weird. His reaction is weird. One, he's not comfortable. He's upset that Robert Drum is coming up on him. And he's telling him, dude, get the fuck out of here. And the way he walks, whatever he was doing in that vehicle would be captured on his body cam. But his body cam has been removed from Mustafa's file. So you're going to see Robert Drum walking up on Chad Mason. I mean, take a hard look at that reaction. What is he doing? What is he not wanting us to see? That he turns his body, he's hiding whatever he's got, whatever he's holding in his hands, and take a hard look at how he's going to just walk away. Was he cutting Mustafa's wire? And clearly, Chad Mason is wearing a body cam. So we're asking Mustafa's lawyer to ask for this exculpatory evidence, because it's not in Mustafa's file. We're asking Captain Doodley with Internal Affairs to release that review it, and release it to Mustafa's defense. We're asking Chief of Police Peter Newsham to review that body cam and release it to the defense. I mean, why does he walk like that? I mean, what did he just do in Mustafa's vehicle that he's so nervous that Robert Drum came up to him wearing a body cam? Why is Robert Drum's body cam muted? I mean, later, this is, the timestamp is
westbound, and we were probably up by that last light in the far left lane.
So timestamp is 1920. It's 1920. 1920, 26. 1920 and 14 seconds. And clearly, let's see if we can capture Chad Mason wearing that body cam. What are you hiding, Chad Mason? What do you not want us to see? What did you do to Mustafa's dash camera that clearly you're wearing a body cam? There you are. Let's see if I can get a better picture of you. There we go. There's your body cam. There we go. Where is that body cam, and why has that body cam been removed from Mustafa's file? It's not there. What is that body cam going to show us? Is it going to show us that Chad Mason is chopping up Mustafa's wire only to say, oh, there's no audio, it's cut before impact? Because later, this is 1920 and 39 seconds. If you fast forward this body cam, Robert Drum is acting as if he didn't even see the body cam. In a testimony in court in a motion to dismiss, Robert Drum testifies to that he saw the dash camera and noticed the dash camera later in the evening. No, you just walked up on Officer Chad Mason. Clearly, he's inside Mustafa's vehicle. There's a giant dash camera. Chad Mason is uncomfortable. You have your body cam muted. What is Chad Mason doing to Mustafa's dash camera that you have your body cam muted and you clearly walk away covering up for this officer, giving him the time that he needs to do what he's doing to Mustafa's dash camera? Now here, the body cam gets even weirder because you have officers that are asking about is there any cameras, and Chad Mason comes out and he said the wire is cut. Let's watch the body cam.
You got thing?
No, there's this first rotate up there.
How about cameras? We got any cameras?
So they have a dash cam on the.
We got
car.
Target.
Yeah,
Target's
a
dash cam. Target's going to pick up big time.
Is it still running?
Can't. No, the cable's broke.
Is it still running? Is it still running? Robert Drum's like, is it still running? Why would it not be running? Unless you're in on it. You know Chad Mason cut the wire and you're staging this whole comp. Is it still running? Why would it not be running? Why would a dash camera in a vehicle not be running? Is it still running? No, the wire is cut. And then you're going to hear him, oh, I'm fucking hungry. Changes the whole conversation. A mother and her baby died. Mustafa is in and out of consciousness in front of his vehicle, on the floor, just got helicoptered to the hospital. There's a dash camera inside the vehicle. Is it still running? No, the wire is cut. I'm fucking hungry. You guys want to get some food? What the fuck are you talking about? Let's watch that body cam.
You got thing?
No, there's this first rotate up there.
How about cameras? We got any cameras?
So they have a dash cam on the.
We got
car.
Target. Target's a dash cam.
That's a
Target's
dash
going to
cam.
pick up big time.
Is it still running?
Can't. No, the cable's broke. So I mean, I don't know if it was broke before or broke now, but it's broke. I am starving like motherfucker.
I'll get you some food in a minute here.
I just need water.
Huh?
Just water.
That I have a case. I have a whole case of water.
Both nights. As soon as I go walk at WDX to fucking eat, both nights.
I was just turning on.
I'm starving like a motherfucker. Changes the whole conversation. As of he's not in the middle of a tragic major accident. And the dash camera is going to show you what happened. Is it still running? No, the wire is broke. I'm fucking hungry. Changes the whole conversation. You want to tell me that's a normal reaction? Where is his body cam? That's a body cam that he's wearing. Why has that body cam been removed from Mustafa's file? Let's see if I can get a better picture. There we go. The body cam on the scene for Chad Mason has been removed. Put that up on the screen. There we go. His body cam has been removed on the scene. His body cam has been removed when they were chopping up at Mustafa's vehicle. And the other officer's body cam is also missing. That's exculpatory evidence. By law, that's illegal. You can't just remove exculpatory evidence from Mustafa's file. So we're asking Mustafa's lawyer to get those body cams, sit down with Mustafa, go over those body cam. We're asking Captain Doodley with Internal Affairs to investigate these officers and look at these body cam and supply this exculpatory evidence to the Mustafa's defense. We're asking Chief of Police Peter Newsham to look into it. Now, on the next podcast, what we're going to do, we're going to go over Chad Mason. We're going to go over this officer and what he said in court. I mean, 1 minute he says that, 1 minute this officer says that the dash camera never left Mustafa's vehicle before getting a warrant. He literally testified to that. He said the dash camera never left Mustafa's vehicle before securing a warrant. And then under cross-examination, he says, I took the dash camera before I got a warrant, took the dash camera back to my vehicle, took the SD card, plugged it into the computer without a warrant. The chain of custody has been broken for the most important piece of evidence in this whole entire case. It's a dash camera. And today you have a dash camera that has no audio and it's cut before impact. Lieutenant Sean Peak is all over Facebook. Let's see if we can find him. If you go over to Prince William County, so that way we know who we're talking about when Prince William County. There we go. Let's see if we can find Lieutenant Sean Peak. Where are you? There we go. That's the Facebook for Prince William County Police Department. Let's see if we can find Lieutenant Sean Peak. There we go. Lieutenant Sean Peak.
Years. And one of the things we'd like to do about the tours is to give the kids a perspective of what they might be looking for in the future, talking about our cadet program. Give them an overview of the academy so it allows them to have an experience of the day-to-day operations and opportunities they have to look at the academy. Been on the department for 26 years, and one of the things we'd like to do about the tours is to give the kids a perspective of what they might be looking for in the future, talking about our cadet program. Give them an overview of the academy.
I mean, whole entire commercial, and they're going so fast you don't even understand what they're talking about.
They might be looking fit on the department.
As mysterious as he shows up, as mysterious as he disappears. You know, I think I met Lieutenant Sean Peak when we were at, where were we? We were, you know, those supervisor meetings when they give you 2 minutes to talk about whatever you want to talk about. I think he was there. I think Lieutenant Sean Peak. I think that was him. That's before I stole the file from the police department. Before I knew who Lieutenant Sean Peak was. I guess he knew us. We didn't know him. I think 5-year-old niece, he gave her one of those plastic, a badge and a sticker. And I thought he was a really nice officer. And I'm sure he is. But what he's done in this case is a problem. Because you want to tell me that you're going to supervise officer crushing and staging a vehicle. You're going to supervise officers blocking the independent inspection of the vehicle. Therefore, breaking a judge order. You're going to lie about an officer handling the dash camera, breaking the chain of custody without a warrant. And today we're looking at a dash camera that has no audio and is cut before impact. I don't care how nice you are. Because of you, you're the kind of officer that makes a community unsafe. I mean, if you allowed this to go on in Mustafa's case, what have you done in other cases? And what are you okay with in future cases? I mean, really let that sink in. You call 911. The next time you need a police officer, this officer shows up. And he's okay with an officer playing around with the evidence. I mean, in this case, when you look at the Mustafa Aljazairi case, the dash camera is cut. The audio has been removed. The vehicle crushed and staged. Children that are 9, 10, 14, that Mustafa is a father figure in their life, has been weaponized against Mustafa. That's what's coming out of the forensic interviews. Mustafa's statements has been falsified. And this is what this officer allowed to happen. I mean, he's a supervisor. We just heard him testify to that he supervised Robert Drum, Investigator Davis, Investigator Chad Mason. On the next podcast, we're going to take a deep dive into the motion to dismiss, where you're going to hear Officer Chad Mason. You're going to hear Officer Chad Mason testify to that he broke the chain of custody, violated department policy. On the next podcast, what we're going to do, we're going to read the motion that Mustafa's defense attorney filed. So before we read the transcript, I think it's a good idea to read the motion so it gives us a broader view into what's going on in Mustafa's case. Because the whole entire motion to dismiss is based on a case, Trombetta versus California. And in that case, under that case, you don't have to have officer act in bad faith. So when you're talking about evidence, if the evidence is destroyed, whether intentionally or accidentally, bad faith is when they intentionally destroy evidence. In good faith, accidentally. Now, under Trombetta versus California, which is the whole motion to dismiss, that was filed back in October 31st with Mustafa's older defense attorney, Blake Weiner, is based on Trombetta versus California, which entails that it doesn't have to be when evidence is destroyed, which in this case, there's no audio. The audio is not there. It was there. It's no longer there. The dash camera is cut before impact. You don't have to have officer intentionally destroy the evidence. The fact that the evidence is destroyed, there's no case. You don't have a case anymore. So whether they intentionally did it or accidentally did it, you don't have a case. Now, the problem with the presiding judge is that he ruled that the audio is inculpatory. Inculpatory means that's not the main evidence. Exculpatory is the main evidence. You want to tell me that the audio is not the most important piece of evidence in this whole entire case? The audio on the dash camera? The most important piece of evidence is the audio. The prosecutor tells you it's inculpatory evidence. That the audio is not important. What do you mean it's not important? You're saying that Mustafa is arguing with his girlfriend inside the vehicle, but there's no audio. Conveniently for the prosecution, when the officer broke the chain of custody, took the dash camera back to his car, and today you have no audio. The audio is the most important piece of evidence in this whole entire case. It's going to show you whether Mustafa is arguing or not arguing. I find it interesting that the prosecutor is arguing that the audio is not important, is inculpatory. And the judge, the presiding judge, Judge Carol Weimer, is telling you that the audio is inculpatory. And therefore, dismissing the motion to dismiss. Because for that case, the case is built on exculpatory evidence. That the audio has to be exculpatory, because if it's exculpatory, it doesn't matter if it's in good faith or in bad faith. Intentionally or unintentionally, accidentally destroyed the audio. We're going to go over the motion to dismiss. We're going to go into detail into what Blake Weiner, Mustafa's previous defense attorney, when he filed that motion. Before we read the transcript, we're going to go over that motion. I want to thank everybody for being here. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer, you are under the microscope.
If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.